My son took all my savings and went on vacation, so I changed my will and then. I still remember the exact moment my heart broke. My name is Harry Thompson, and I am 61 years old. I have lived long enough to understand that pain doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it comes from the very people you would give your last breath for. The day I found out my son had taken all my savings was the day I realized love, without boundaries, can become self-destruction. Let me tell you my story. The life I built with bare hands. I wasn't born into wealth, I was born into struggle. My father worked in a steel factory, and my mother cleaned houses. From the age of 14, I worked after school delivering newspapers. By 21, I was already working double shifts at a construction company. Life never handed me comfort. When my wife Margaret and I got married, we had nothing but a tiny rented apartment and big dreams. She believed in me when I barely believed in myself. We had only one child, our son Daniel. The day Daniel was born, I held him in my arms and promised him something silently. You will never struggle the way I did. And that promise shaped every decision of my life. Losing Margaret. When Daniel was 16, tragedy struck. Margaret was diagnosed with cancer. I still remember sitting in the hospital hallway, staring at the white walls, praying like a desperate man, but prayers don't always change outcomes. She passed away 2 years later. Daniel was 18, I was left a widower at 42. I had two choices, fall apart or stand strong for my son. I chose him. I worked harder than ever, I saved every penny, I skipped vacations, I never bought myself new clothes unless necessary. Every dollar I earned had one purpose, Daniel's future. College tuition, paid. Car bought. Apartment deposit, covered. When he wanted to start a small online business, I even gave him money from my retirement savings. Because that's what fathers do. Or so I thought. The savings. By the time I turned 60, I had carefully built up a savings account of nearly $180,000. That money was my safety net. It was meant for medical emergencies, retirement security, and perhaps one day leaving something meaningful behind for Daniel. I trusted him completely. So when he told me he needed temporary access to my account to help manage some investments while I struggled with online banking, I didn't hesitate. He was my son. Why would I? The discovery. It happened on a quiet Tuesday morning. I went to the bank to withdraw a small amount for home repairs. The teller looked at her screen. Then she looked at me. Then back at the screen. Sir, your balance is $432. I laughed. No, you're looking at the wrong account. She was. My savings were gone. Withdrawn in large transfers over 2 weeks. All authorized with my online credentials. My hands started shaking. I didn't need a detective to solve the mystery. There was only one person who had access. Daniel. The phone call. I called him immediately. Dad, what's up? He said cheerfully. Where is my money? Silent. Then a sigh. Dad, I was going to tell you. Tell me what? I invested it. Invested where? Not exactly invested, I mean, I used some of it. How much is some? Pause. All of it. It felt like someone punched me in the chest. For what? Dad, relax, I went on a trip with friends. Europe, it was once in a lifetime, I deserved it. Deserved it. I stood in the kitchen where Margaret used to cook. My knees felt weak. You spent my retirement savings on a vacation. Dad, you're overreacting, it's just money. Just money. 40 years of sweat. Just money. The confrontation. Daniel came over that evening. He looked annoyed, not guilty. You've always been too dramatic, he said. You have the house, you'll be fine. Fine, I whispered. I thought you'd understand. You always said you wanted me to enjoy life. Yes, I said quietly, not at the cost of mine. He rolled his eyes. Why are you acting like I robbed you? Because you did. But I couldn't say it. Because fathers don't accuse their sons. We protect them, even from themselves. The longest night. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in Margaret's old armchair. I stared at her photograph. Did we raise him wrong? I whispered. I remembered teaching Daniel to ride a bicycle. I remembered staying up all night helping him with school projects. I remembered clapping the loudest at his graduation. Where did that boy go? Or had I simply refused to see who he became? For the first time in my life, I felt betrayed, not by fate, not by illness, but by my own blood. And something inside me changed. The decision. A week later, I made an appointment with a lawyer. I had written my will years ago. Everything was to go to Daniel. Everything. The house, the insurance, the remaining assets. Because that's what fathers do. But I had learned something painful. Love without accountability creates entitlement. So I changed my will. I left a modest amount to Daniel, enough to show he was still my son. The majority of my estate to a local scholarship fund in Margaret's name. And a portion to a cancer research foundation. If Daniel believed money was just money, then he wouldn't miss it. But perhaps it could help someone who truly needed it. When I signed the new will, my hands were steady. It wasn't revenge. It was responsibility. The turning point. Months passed. Daniel rarely called. When he did, it was short and distant. Then one day, he showed up at my door. He looked different. Thinner. Tired. His business had failed. The vacation photos were long forgotten. "Dad," he said softly, "I messed up." I didn't answer immediately. I thought I deserved everything because you always gave me everything. I never learned what it meant to earn it. There it was. The truth. "I'm drowning in debt," he admitted, "and I realize now you were my safety net, and I burned it." I felt anger. But I also felt something stronger. Sadness. The hard conversation. "I can't fix this for you," I said. His eyes filled with tears. "I know. That money was 40 years of my life. I know. And you treated it like pocket change." He nodded. For the first time since Margaret's funeral, I saw my son truly humbled. "I don't want your money anymore," he said. "I just want my father." That sentence broke me. Because despite everything, I still loved him. The new beginning. I didn't give him money. But I gave him something more valuable. A second chance, not financially, but emotionally. He moved back home temporarily. He got a job. A real one. He started paying off his debts slowly. For the first time in his life, he learned what it meant to struggle. And strangely, it brought us closer. We talked more. He apologized more than once, not out of fear, but sincerity. One evening he asked, "Did you change your will?" I didn't lie. "Yes." He nodded. "I understand." And that was the moment I knew he had grown. Because he didn't argue. He didn't demand. He accepted. The final realization. I am 61 years old. I don't know how many years I have left. But I know this. Parenting doesn't end when children turn 18. And sometimes, loving them means letting them face consequences. Money can be earned again. Character must be built. If I had forgiven him instantly and rewritten my will again, he would have learned nothing. Instead, he learned responsibility. And I learned boundaries. The moral. Love your children deeply, but never raise them to believe they are entitled to your sacrifices. Teach them gratitude. Teach them accountability. Because money lost can be recovered. But character lost can destroy generations.